So, in your opinion, when did you start to write good poetry?
I'm still trying to. I don't think you're ever done answering that question for yourself. And the minute you feel like you figured it out, you got to wreck it. You got to break it. If you're starting to feel like, wow, yeah, my poems are good, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. No, it really requires finding the next thing that you don't know how to do. And that's really nice. I grew up in northern Maine on the border with Canada. And so, we would go to the library, which was, a very small library with mostly donated books, right? And we were allowed to take 4 books out a week. So we go to the library on Saturday, and I would have read them by Sunday. So, I really just can read fast, and that's a gift too, to be able to read fast. And my youth, I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't had that space to go and just sit after school and read. Public libraries have always been a nurturing space for me. Like when I'm traveling, that's where I'll go write, either a cafe or a library. And bookstores are really important, and especially independent bookstores really do keep people like me connected to their audiences. And one of my happy places is being in a really good bookstore. My first book was called Cathedral of the North, and my next book was called Rare High Meadow of Which I Might Dream. The following book was called Calle Florista, and then I published And God Created Women, and the next book is about Northern Ireland, and it's called The Bower. Well, the poem I'm working on right now is my favorite poem. That's it. That's always the case, right? And, it's just once you find the line or the shape of the poem or the voice, then everything settles. and your choices you're making all of a sudden become so easy, right? But you do have to fumble into the, stumble into the unknown to get that sweet spot going, or to find it. You get everything lined up right. And you're the only person who'll know what that lined up right is. And you couldn't have predicted what it would be. So you just gotta keep messing with it, right? Never did I think I would be a professor though, I never did think that. But I do feel very lucky to have a job where I get to think and talk about poems with really smart, wonderful students. Teaching has taught me so much, and my students teach me about writing too. When I first came here, I was like, well, I don't know, it's so different from the East Coast and where I grew up. I thought maybe, I'll give it a year. And that was 24 years ago, so I don't know, something's working, right? I don't think I'd be a very happy person if I didn't have poetry in my life. But I know a lot of parents really worry if their kid says, gee, I think I'm gonna be a poet, Mom, But poetry has been very, very good to me. It really has been. Like all the people I've met, all the places I've been, all the encounters with other writers, and look at me, I'm a girl from the woods in northern Maine, and here I am, it turned out all right. And I think it wasn't the sensible decision, but I think if you really care about it, you'll find a way, right? You just do. And if you don't like it that much, then maybe you gotta find some other job, because it's not gonna be easy, right? But it just never felt like it was hard either.